Hey, Mark. What's in these little mystery bottles you brought today?
Well, that's a great question, Dan. It's a little different when they can see us.
I know. What do we normally do?
Audio podcasts are different than video. We're normally hidden, so you already know that it's Mark and Dan in the world headquarters here in the garage. We've been doing some fun stuff. Dan has a deep background in cycling and journalism. It turns out he's been doing some fun stuff called Slow Guy on the Fast Ride and some really cool videos called Let Me See That, product review type videos, and I've been helping. And we were all set up, so we know a lot of the whiskey viewers are also cyclists, so if you are, go check out slowguyonthefastride.com, sign up for the newsletter. I should be letting Dan do this since it's his thing, but I'm already talking. There's Instagram, Slow Guy on the Fast Ride, and YouTube channel as well, and you'll be seeing these videos. But since we were all set up, we thought we'd chat in a little bit different environment. Mm-hmm. And I brought 2 bottles.
Treats.
I will tell you why I brought the 2 bottles.
Please do.
The practical still is around the practicality of whiskey. Lately, I feel like I've lost all control of that. I don't know where I'm going to put any of this whiskey we buy. We'll get there. And I've bought a few bottles that aren't necessarily practical. Now, I think they're a little practical because I did not pay exorbitant secondary prices for them. I paid roughly retail for those, and quite a few of them lately. But I wanted a little bit of a sanity check. So Dan doesn't know what's in those bottles, and I do. And I'm not going to say anymore because I am the absolute worst at giving things away with hints. So without any further ado, let us drink. Now,
which one are we doing?
Well, I got to see first because it's hard to. There is one I want to do first.
Okay.
And it's not that one, it's this one.
Okay.
So we pour the whiskey from the nondescript little sample bottle, which if you're mailing these around are known as water samples to the U.S. Postal Service.
How about that?
I'm going to give Dan more because I have the rest of the bottle.
All right.
And all I want Dan to do is drink and tell me what he thinks.
Whatever this is smells delightful. Well, the immediate impression is this smells like stag. And it is lovely.
Ain't it though?
It's like orange and vanilla and
I get like a licoricey, candied something. Oh,
I got the
goodness, that's good.
I got the candy for sure. Am I supposed to guess what? Are we doing this like a shelfie throwdown where I have to guess?
You know, kind of halfway since we're here. But you don't have to guess. I'm happy to just tell you I don't want to put you through the ringer.
All right. Well,
this will be a pretty short podcast. This is all we're really going to talk about.
This has a lot of hints of stag, which makes me wonder if it's in the BTAC collection or in that vein. What am I drinking? I'm just going to give up. I just want to know.
I'll do one round of
guesses.
You've had some whiskey I haven't had when you were in Casey's one day. Mm-hmm. I believe you had a 15-year Pappy.
I did.
This will be hopefully reminiscent. It is not Buffalo Trace. It's not Pappy, but it is Heaven Hill. This is the old Fitzgerald 8-year-old bottled and bond.
Man.
Now, if anybody knows me and what a geek I am, I've been dying to get one of these decanter version bottled and bond old Fitzgeralds. I will not buy pours of them in restaurants. I wanted to wait till I could buy one.
This is, I'm glad you brought this one because I've actually had this before. I had a sip of this at Casey's Spirits, Wine, Provisions here in Old Town Arvada. And I only had a little sip, but it was just one of those mind-blowing moments where I was like, this is good. This is really good. Like, this is a bottle I would spend money on. Then I realized what the secondary prices were, and I'm not going to spend that kind of money. But this is good reinforcement that I was right. This is fantastic.
It is good.
This is really good.
I did not have, and I've recorded and opened the bottle for this. I haven't published it yet. I didn't quite have that religious moment when I tasted it, but as I was ending the video, which, those are short, so I wasn't like I was sitting there a long time, the finish kept going and going, and all this other experience began to come out of it. I just think it's really good.
This is like, sometimes you could go buy dark chocolate with little bits of orange in it, and you get the chocolate right at first, and then the orange blast. This is like the opposite. You get sort of the orange first, and then
candied or chocolate or cocoa. Yeah, it's amazing.
This is great.
It is good. Yeah, and there are older versions of these. This was the one I could get. Secondary, I've noticed, ranges from $220 to $400 for this stuff. I paid $85 for it.
I would buy that all day long.
$85 is not nothing, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this, because this is really good. It is way better than any larceny or larceny barrel proof I've had, which would be its closest relative, because it's a Heaven Hill we did bourbon. But I don't know. I like an OWA this much. I think it's Weller's the weeded version from. It all branched off from Pappy. Pappy actually sold Old Fitzgerald back in the day. Now, not this whiskey. It's it was bought by Heaven Hill. It's a different recipe, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm getting to where I'm a little jaded to $80 and $90 and $100 bottles. That's not practical.
Yeah,
so when I spend that money, am I really getting what I want out of it? And that's what I wanted to have this kind of conversation with. I think this is delicious.
It's excellent.
I gotta say, whether I think it's worth $85 or not, I promise you I will not be able to restrain myself if I ever get to buy any more of these at retail, and I will do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely. But for $220, no.
No, I'm just not doing it. And I say that knowing that things can change and I could lose my mind in other ways, that I've already lost my mind with whiskey in lots of ways.
We have lots of self-control around whiskey, as we famously exhibited.
Yeah. But to date, I've never bought that's not true. I did buy one bottle in the secondary of Baby Sazerac for $25. I don't think that counts because I paid less than retail for it.
Sure.
But I'm not there yet, and I'm still not going there. And there's still, I don't know yet that I've had a weeded bourbon that I quite like this much as I like Weller, but I've never had anything past Weller 12.
Well, so, I've had the Weller Full Proof. I've had the 12. I've had the old Weller Antique. And I like the old Weller Antique better than the 12 and the Full Proof. And I would say I like this a whole heck of a lot better than old Antique.
That's true. I did recently have Full Proof. God, that's good. Also, in that same sitting, had Old Rip Van Winkle 10.
I like that.
But then subsequently became incredibly inebriating. So I'm not sure, but I would say I like this better than both of those.
The old Rip 10, I find, so this has a little bit more of a bite to it, like maybe it's the citrusy feel to it, but the old Rip 10 to me is much smoother,
there's
even
a spice
profile.
to this.
Yeah.
Bitter orange.
Yeah, so there's definitely a different taste to this than there is the old Rip 10, which I also like quite a bit. All right.
Delicious. Well, thank you for your input.
That was great. What's bottle number 2? Bring it on.
Bottle number 2 is this bottle. I'm not telling you what's in
it. It looks equally brown.
And I'm not really even worried. It looks just the same.
Just as brown as the other bottle.
I'm not really worried about us adulterating that.
Mixing, so they must be similar. This looks a lot darker.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's sniff and discuss.
All right. So this nose is much mellower than the old Fitzgerald.
What do you mean by mellower?
I'm not getting, so the old Fitzgerald sort of had that big nose right up front with the citrus and the vanilla and all the things that I was associating with Stag, which I think Stag also has sort of that big nose. This does not.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean there's nice things there, but it's just not as big of a nose.
But what is on the nose?
It's hard to tell. I mean, it's really subtle.
That's what I'm getting at. Why is it hard to tell? Because I get a lot of ethanol on the nose.
I get a little bit of ethanol. And there's something else sort of in the sugary range, but it's hard to get it. It's hard to define it. That is a different animal. That is a really different animal. That had a really quick burn, dissipates. Good finish.
Cherries. Mm-hmm. Mostly cherries.
Mostly cherries. Am I drinking Elijah Craig 18?
No.
No.
That's funny you guessed that. It's funny that you the other one reminds you of Stag, given that this is 134.3, I believe, proof.
That would account for the big burn, which is unpleasant for a moment. But
Just a moment, though. But that is remarkably drinkable for 130 proof plus, barrel proof, unfiltered whiskey.
Oh, that finish is so good.
It is.
That is so good. All right, well, give me a minute.
I only had a second sip, and it's still just cherries.
Wait, really? Man, that's good.
Just the slightest little hint of
it's still going.
cocoa.
It's still going. It's still going.
Here's the good part, if you like that.
Yeah.
You have a bottle of this.
Do I?
You do.
Oh, even better.
That is from Hazel's in Boulder. That is a Old Let me get my grammar
Not
right.
an
That
Old
is
Fitzgerald.
an Old Forester single barrel proof pick.
This is the one with the blue label. Oh, now I'm excited.
Yeah.
I have a bottle of this.
I was at 134 point whatever proof when I did open the bottle on this. I was almost flinched before I drank it.
Yeah,
But then it's just nowhere near as hot as you think a 130 plus proof whiskey would be.
It is for a second. Let's be honest.
Just a minute,
There's
but
like a
not up
blast.
front. You think
No.
you're getting away with it.
Yeah.
Then it balls up the knuckles.
Yeah.
It hits you,
It gives you a little love tap. Yeah.
and then the cherries come.
Yeah, and it's funny, one of my favorite bottles, which I haven't had in a while, is Old Forester 1920. And I feel like the 1920 nose is way bigger than this.
It is.
But
Excuse me.
Are you imploding?
We have not been doing this very
Sponsored
long.
by Tums. Yeah. No, I think the nose on the old. Actually, yeah.
I'm a quick draw with the Tums. That's the barrel proof Tums.
That is barrel proof Tums. Yeah. You can't get that. That's special. You have to go to the distillery for that. Yeah.
I was surprised at how good that was.
This is excellent, and wow, boy, that blast gets you though.
It does.
Every single time.
You need to not need to do anything for about 2 seconds right there.
Yeah, but boy, once it mellows out, it's like this. It's very much, and then it's like up quick to that burn, and then it just.
And I think there's a sneaky amount of ethanol in the nose
There is.
that stops you. It doesn't burn your nose like you think it would,
No.
but it does prevent you from really smelling what's under there. Mm-hmm. What I need to do is leave this on the counter for a half an hour
Yeah.
and come back to it. But I think that fools you because you don't get the huge ethanol in the nose. You don't expect it on the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
You taste all those flavors. The ethanol hits on as it passes over. It is
Yeah.
heavy. It's hot. It is hot for a couple seconds.
It is
But
weird.
then it's not.
It's weird how it's deceptive like that. You don't smell. I mean, there is a little ethanol in the nose, but there's just not.
I got to tell you, I was scared of it. I nosed it. I thought, no big deal. Took a big old sip. Regretted it just momentarily, but it's good. And I'll tell you what's interesting. There's no real acknowledgement of the age of these single barrel picks from Old Forester. They are rumored to be in the 4, 5, 6-year-old range. They're relatively young. Old Forester is into what's called heat cycling in their warehouses. They will control the temperature
Yeah.
so that in a given time period, like a month, it's not just a month in the warehouse.
Right.
According to them, it's been heated and cooled and heated and cooled, and so it's like 3 months in a warehouse or 4 months in a warehouse. So I don't know if all that works, what it means, but I do know if this truly is a 5 or 6-year-old whiskey. Now we're talking about something we can compare to Booker's,
Yeah.
and it compares favorably to Booker's.
This is excellent.
It's expensive in my opinion. So this is an 80. I think we paid $85 for these.
Yeah, it was pretty up there.
A little up there for a young whiskey, but then again, Booker's is $100 at retail. It's
If you can
way more
find
than
it.
that if you can find one. It's awfully good. And I was a big fan of Old Forester single barrels when they were all 90 proof. I have not had the 100 proof version, but I love the 90 proof ones. But they would be $45 bottles.
Right.
This is double that.
And the only reason I really jumped on this was because I do like the 1920 so much.
They just don't even seem the same to me.
They don't. They're different beasts entirely. And this is, to me, this is kind of like I went all Augustus Gloop and ate the entire gingerbread house. The finish, and you don't get that right away. It's the finish. I mean, if you sat here, took a sip and and just sat there without taking another sip for 5 minutes, you'd still be gingerbread.
And that's what I did when I did the open the bottle. I finished. I'm shutting all the cameras down, and I'm just like, good grief, that thing is just hung around.
This is a nice.
It's delicious.
It's a nice. I mean, the more I sip it, the less I regret, or less I'm worried about the $85 price tag. I still think it should be a $60 bottle. Or 50, but
and drastically different, but I paid basically the same thing for both of these that we just tasted.
Yeah.
They couldn't be any more different.
They are super different. This is the Old Fitz was citrus, and this is much more.
And the Old Fitz was so refined.
Yeah.
It just caressed everything. It was just so lovely. This is rock and roll.
It is.
It is finest, and it is delicious.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at how good it is.
It's raucous and rowdy, but man, there's a lot to it. I mean, it's good, especially that finish, man. This is like a Pink Floyd song that just keep going.
Little David Gilmour solo going on. Amazing. But thanks for your input on that.
Thanks for the lovely bottles.
Yeah. This is all I brought today. Normally when we come to the garage, I bring lots of stuff, but that's it.
You bring little brown bottles anytime. This has been wonderful.
That's pretty good. So what do you guys think? Are we, what does practical mean? It's not a thing. I think it's a continuum. And yes, that's an excuse so that we can continue to spend ridiculous money on stuff. But there are limits. We will not do the secondary piece. With that said, I have one bottle of Stag Junior left. They've just announced the change where they're taking the Junior off, which means the price is going up. It's already ridiculous in the secondary. I'm going to let some idiot, and I said that purposefully, I'm going to let some idiot pay me $200 or $300 or $400 for that bottle of Stag Junior, because I've had it. I like it. It is not. It is a fabulous $50 or $60 bottle of whiskey.
It's excellent.
Maybe today I might stretch and pay $80 for that bottle. I'm not paying anything over that for that bottle. I'm going to let somebody do that for me. And I'll put that money in more Old Forester barrel picks. I
got a bottle of Stag Junior on the shelf right now. It's about that much left. I paid $60 for it, and I think that might be the last bottle I buy. It's wonderful. I love it. I love it.
Last bottle you buy unless you get a chance to buy them for $60.
Exactly.
I'll keep buying them for $60.
Yeah, if somebody wants to throw a $60 bottle of Stag Junior at me,
yeah,
I'm on it.
So the other night, a mutual friend of ours asked in the store, wanted to buy Bookers for somebody as a gift. They love Bookers. Of course, can't find Bookers. What else? I said Wild Turkey Rare Breed. There's another barrel proof offering.
$55 usually.
All day long, any store in the country's got it.
All day, every day.
What else? I mean, if you can, you can't find these Old Forester barrel picks. They go secondary for double, triple price.
I mean, I would say we did say that it's a different flavor profile, but if you really do want an excellent bottle for $55, I mean, the 1920, the Old Forester 1920. I think
it's up to $65 now in the store, but you can't.
Still worth it.
That brings something. So think about other barrel proof offerings. There's some out there, but best bottles under $100. Old Forester 1920, 4 rows of small batch select. If you can find these Old Forester barrel picks at $80, $85.
Dickel 15-year.
Dickel, oh my goodness, $60. Stores all over the country have them, and the added fun of varied proofs.
Yes, so good.
I've had those, let's see, I've got 5 or 6 now. I've collected up to drink, not collected, to drink, saving the drink. Everything from 86 to 104 proof.
I bought 4 bottles. I have 1.5 left, and they've all been excellent in their own way.
They're delicious.
So good.
Also, speaking of those, if you don't like Dickel because of that funky Dickelness, still try the 15. 15 years in oak means the oak had more influence than the distillate, maybe at that point, or at least a different influence than you might have had in a hand select 9-year-old single barrel or any of the standard offerings. It is still there, the Dickel funk. It is not as funky.
Mellower,
Yeah, give it a try. It's super good.
There's a little bit of sweetness to it that I think you'd like.
Yeah. But I definitely am struggling with the practical nature of all this nonsense. I've got to figure out, I've already committed to buying no more normal whiskey. And here's the weird thing. I just bought some Buffalo Trace because it was on a shelf. That should be normal whiskey, but holy crap, it's allocated. You can't get the stuff. I'm buying up what I can get, thinking, why am I buying this? It's really good. Yeah. And I got to buy it at, Hazel's again had a store pick at $25. We got a couple of those. Yeah, we got $50 for the 750. I'm going to buy that all day. That should be normal whiskey, but it's not. I'm put out a little bit. I don't know what to do.
It's frustrating, and I think it's a larger narrative of things that are happening in the country right now with prices in general. But I think bourbon.
It's probably climate change.
Sure, it can be climate change. In any event, it is a larger narrative. It sucks. We'll hang in there. But the good thing is, we've said it before. We'll say it again. Every time you go into the store, there's always a bottle that is under $40, $25, even $15 that we've discovered. That is a good bottle. So yes, these are special treats. There's still always bottles to buy that are inexpensive and very good.
That's a really good way to put it. These are special treats, like a cannoli.
Yeah.
You don't eat them every day.
What'd you call them?
Cannoli. Special treats. Remember special treats, not
cannoli.
Not cannoli. This is not the practical cannoli.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
That's good. Next video will be barrel-proof Tums. Mark will be testing it blind.
I have a lot of experience. I can pick a barrel-proof Tums out blind. Nope. Because Rolaids, no. Tums.
Too low proof.
Tums.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
This has been fun. Cheers.
Thanks, Dan. Cheers.
Someone send us new glasses, please.